that it? All right, here we go. Hi, Albie. Hello, people who are here. Hi, my name is Clark Brooks. Thank you for coming to. Thank you. Oh my God. Good night. See everybody later. All right. No, thank you for what is basically going to be a dress rehearsal for what I hope turns into a fringe show this summer. I realize I look like either a GED school shooter or somebody who's cast as the lead in a community theater production of The Matrix. I promise I'm neither of those things. So I'm just going to tell you some stories about things I've experienced in my life, um, and hopefully they're entertaining. So I'm going to sit here with you guys, and if you can't see me, you're welcome. So these are things that I've learned through life. The first story I learned was that racism is a real thing. And I learned that lesson at the age of 6 years old from a family member, which is kind of a rough road to go. But what happened was, I was born in 1964. 6 years old, and it's 1970. During those days, they used to let kids just go outside and play. You would just open the door, and the kid would run out, and then you would open the door later sometime, and hopefully he would come back in. That's how they did stuff. So, in addition, my parents used to ditch me and my sister on the weekends so they could have a weekend off. They would drop us off at the grandparents'. So I'm at the grandparents' house. They open the door. I go outside. In the alley, well, the street right behind my grandmother's apartment and grandfather's apartment, there were kids playing. So I went, and kids, it's overstated, but kids don't care who they play with. They really are like puppies. If you're playing, that was for dramatic effect right there. If you're playing and you're a kid, you will just play with whoever's there and you'll play whatever's there. And the two kids I met, two little black boys, Petey and Andre, and we were playing the classic game of run around and make noise and chase each other and fall down. And we did this in Petey's house. And things were going pretty well for a couple hours until Petey's mother said, "You children have to get out of my house. I realize you might get hurt out there, but if you stay in here doing what you're doing, you're definitely going to get hurt in this house." So Petey's mom kicks us out. We're out in the street. You know, we're wondering what we're going to do now. I say, "No problem. My grandmother lives right over there. We'll just go over there. We'll just play at her house. It'll be no problem." We go back over. We go up. We climb the stairs. We go up there. We knock on the door, or I open the door. My grandmother greets us at the door and decides, "No, you're not coming in here to play." And I said, "Well, you know, we don't have anywhere to go." She goes, "They wouldn't let me in their house." And me being 6 years old, taking things literally, like, "Well, no, not now. The heat is on. You're going to have to stay away from there for a few hours." But then it occurred to me what she really meant, and she had a problem with Petey and Andre because they were two little black kids. And this was all sinking in into my 6-year-old sponge of a brain. And I'm horrified. I'm mortified. This is my grandmother. This is someone who loves me unconditionally, who I think is only capable of unconditional love. And she's just rejected these two people outright based on appearance. And I'm devastated. And meanwhile, Petey and Andre are already downstairs and like, yeah, we kind of figured that's how that was going to go. So they weren't bothered by it at all. But I had to learn that lesson when I was 6. Now, jump forward. We're going to skip ahead like a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm a busboy. I'm in high school and I'm a busboy at one of the nicer restaurants in town. And by nicer, I mean they had tablecloths and folded napkins. That's how you could tell it was nice. And one night I show up for work and the chef announces, "Look, hey, listen, you high school guys, I know we're going to be really busy tonight. Any of you guys have friends that need a job, call them up, get them down here. I'll hire them. They can work right away. I don't care what's going on." So I knew my friend Tony, who also happened to be black because his parents happened to be black. And that's how that works biologically. I called Tony up and Tony came down and we're slammed. We're busy. We're crazy. Everything's going nuts. Around 10 o'clock, things finally slow down. Chef calls me into his office, says, "When I saw you bring a black kid into my kitchen, I was going to wring your neck. But he worked out pretty well. We're going to keep him on. He's going to stay and work." And I didn't hear anything other than the fact that I was thinking, how racist do you have to be that you wouldn't let a black guy wash the dishes? And so between the 6 and 15, I realized that when the Civil War ended, we didn't play baseball the next day and have lemonade and everything was fine. There were still big problems in the 70s and 80s. So that was how I learned about racism. Um, let's see, what did I learn next? Oh, I learned that sexism is a real thing. I learned that in junior high. When I was in eighth grade. First of all, I should tell you, the town I'm from is a small town in Michigan, Benton Harbor, Michigan. It's a typical Rust Belt town, like any other place in the Midwest that has died since manufacturing has gone away. It's like Flint. Anybody ever heard of Flint, Michigan? Benton Harbor's like Flint, Michigan, without the glamour. So, if anybody here is local and is familiar with Nebraska Avenue in Tampa in the 1990s, if Nebraska Avenue in the 1990s was a town, it would be Benton Harbor, Michigan. So tells you what we're up against. The demographics, I think the last census says it was 92% black, 5% Caucasian, and then 3% other, if that adds up to 100. So that's kind of the environment I grew up in. So while I can't say I know what it's like to be black because that would be stupid, I do know what it's like to walk into a place and not look like anybody else that's there and what that feels like. So from a scholastic standpoint, my education, probably subpar. From a cultural standpoint, Ivy League, as far as I'm concerned. So the biggest celebrities from my hometown are Sinbad, the stand-up comedian, and Ernie Hudson, who plays Winston, the Black Ghostbuster. So that's it. So that kind of gives you an idea. But I was going to start to tell you about how I learned about sexism. So in eighth grade, one of the things they do towards the end of the school year, they would take you to the high school to the what they called the vocational center, where you'd learn skills like woodworking and auto repair, stuff like that. And one of the classes was photography. So they would take you to the darkroom in the photography lab, and they'd show you how photography works. And the big thing about that was everybody knew when you went to the darkroom, you went from a room that was lit through a dark hallway with no light, and then into a dark room where the photography stuff was. And they knew that in that dark hallway, if you could position yourself strategically, you could find yourself with a classmate that you might want to grope. Now, in my class, there was a girl named Sue Hoy. Sue was that girl who in eighth grade looked like she was a senior in high school. Every class has one of those. Sue was the target of interest for that particular activity. And all me and my dumb male friends were spending the day as we're going through the vocational center trying to arrange ourselves so that when it's time to go into the photography lab, we're going to be in the hallway with Sue Hoy. Well, through manipulation and just luck, I happened to be that person. I was the big free stakes or sweepstakes winner as far as the Grope Sue Hoy sweepstakes goes. Except, I was really looking forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be the object of, envy from my friends, and it's just going to be a great time. But except I caught a glimpse of Sue Hoy's face, and she was absolutely in terror. Like, you could tell she had the look of someone who was just abject fear, but had also accepted and was resigned to her fate. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. This is a human being, and she's in terror, and it's because of me and what I have planned. And sucked all the fun out of it, just completely. So I lost interest in that, and I thought, well, I can't, be a part of this traumatic, event in this person's life. And we went into the dark hallway. I kept my distance. We go into the dark room. They did their little spiel. We came back out. I never laid a hand on her. At the end, I saw just this, I never said anything to her about it either, but I saw this look of relief on her face, like she'd survived this ordeal that she had anticipated. And all my friends made fun of me, and I was not that cool through high school, I think as a result of that. So that's how I learned that sexism is a real thing. And then the last thing, because I was told to go short because there's other shows going on, I'm just going to tell you how I learned to stop being homophobic. In Benton Harbor, Michigan, there were no gay people. I mean, there were gay people. They just weren't allowed to be gay people, and exist, as gay people. Like, you'd go through your high school yearbook later and go, oh yeah, right, that one, right, okay. But at the time, very much everybody's closeted. So I just grew up not exposed to gay people. I wasn't homophobic in the way that I like resented them or had anger. I just didn't know anything about gay people, and I was afraid. So literally phobic. So flash forward to I graduate high school, I go to the Army, and then I get out, I move down here to Florida, and I go to Sarasota, and I get involved with community theater. Now, I don't know what you know about community theater in Sarasota, but if your problem is lack of exposure to gay people, it's an excellent way to get over that. So, and as I mentioned, when I said I'm phobic, I'm not hostile. I'm just, apprehensive. But I figure I'm affable, and I wind up meeting people, and there's gay people, and there's women, and there's men, and everybody's getting along. And I have gay friends for the first time in my life, and that's great. And I worked at a theater called Theater Works, which no longer exists. It's been swallowed by Florida Studio Theater. But at the time, the tradition was if you were in a show, either as cast or crew, you would go to this restaurant called Coley's on Main Street. And you would go and you'd sit at a big table with your cast and crew and talk shit about the other theaters and the cast and crews and bitch about stuff. And then you would bond over that. And it became like, that was almost more fun than doing the show. So one night we're at Coley's and we're having a great time. And Coley's is getting ready to close. And somebody suggests, hey, this place is closing. Let's go to Stinger's just down the block and we'll just continue partying there. Stinger's was, I don't think it's there anymore, but it was a gay bar in Sarasota. Instantly, I clinch up. I just clinch up, like go to a gay bar. And I lean over to my friend Jeff, who is gay, and I said, hey, man, I can't go to Stinger's with you guys. And he's like, why not? I said, it's a gay bar, and I'm straight. I can't go with you to a gay bar. He goes, oh, I get it. I see what the problem is. Let's try this. We'll all go to Stinger's, but when we get there, you don't have sex with any men. And I said, well, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of stupid, Jeff. He goes, does it? Does it sound stupid when you hear it out loud? Does it really? Yes, Jeff, it's stupid. So I'm like, all right, it's stupid. I can't resist on those grounds anymore. And so we get up, we're walking down the street. I'm still apprehensive because I'm uptight, Midwestern, white boy, heterosexual. And we go into the place, and I feel like I have to make one more final statement, to get over this. So we walk in. First of all, the first thing I notice is it's just a bar. Like there's a baseball game on the TV and there's people playing pool. It just happens to be all dudes. It's just a bar. It's not whatever I thought it was going to be. It was not what I thought it was going to be. But we walk in and I feel for no good reason whatsoever that it's necessary for me to announce to the entire bar, hey, listen up. Nobody here is having sex with me tonight. And somebody in back by the pool table goes, we know. And from that day on, I was cured. So, I feel like I'm a pretty good person now, and now I can tell stories about it at Fringe. So, like I said, this all hopes to be part of a bigger, more smoothed out, polished show with pyro and video, and Foo Fighters are going to drop in and play a set, and it's going to be awesome. But thank you for coming to my dress rehearsal. Thanks for supporting Whinge and supporting Fringe. And enjoy the rest of the show. There's peanut butter jelly sandwiches starting at 4 o'clock, I think. So, thanks again. Thank you, guys.